We're live. Okay, so welcome to the 20th episode of the PvP Podcast, Guild Wars 2, of course, where me and Sneaks discuss something amongst whatever. It's just us.
It is just us. It is. Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, so big episode. 20, man. 20 episodes down. It feels good to be here. Like you said, it feels like 200. It feels like we've been doing this longer than what we have been. I think that's just the meta speaking for itself.
Yeah.
In game. Speaking of the meta, there's been a change that has kind of been snuck under the radar. You mentioned to me. I haven't been playing the game because I'm a busy man right now, so I get my updates from you. But what's happened? And there's been no patch notes. Some people might know it, some people might not. What's happened, Corolla?
Well, a big thing actually regarding Mesmer and Thief, because Thief kind of obliterates Mesmer because of the glob. Well, then the glob got nerfed.
What?
Yeah, the pleas of the players were heard, and here we are.
So Misha and Helseth will be buzzing at that news.
For sure. I mean, every Mesmer, for sure.
Yeah, glob has been the bane. Glob has been the bane of Mesmers for such a long time, and they've been crying out, be like, because it really is sort of, Mesmer is the contender for potentially the other Roma, like the big Roma. Especially Mirage, because of the mobility it has. And Thief just kind of not only beats it out in performance, but is pretty much a direct counter to it. And that's kind of shitty for the Mesmer.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm playing Thief and the enemy has a Mesmer and we don't, I'm for sure trying to shit on the Mesmer as much as possible. But now, I played a couple of games, and it's really kind of, you have to avoid getting interrupted on using any of your Fs, because it doesn't just work on glob. Anything that you use or get interrupted on your F ability now, stolen F ability, it just gets taken away, right?
So can you explain, because I haven't managed to actually get onto and see.
I don't know. I've done like 3 games, but I just noticed it. Like, it's a good change. It's a healthy change. I hope I see more Mesmer play for sure.
What is the actual? What is the change exactly? Like, what has ArenaNet done but not told anybody?
I'm not sure. Like when you steal and you get glob, if you cast it and you get interrupted, or you interrupt it yourself if you evade, you just lose it.
So is it? So it's got a cast time now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. God damn it! I should have done my research.
Don't worry. So basically, yeah. So it's got not a cast time, but it can be interrupted. It can be stopped, and I think that's where if you fuck up the use of it, so you basically you've got to think about when you pop it. So if you dodge during the thing, does it go away, or does it just still stick with you? Oh, it goes. Also, you can drop you the glob. I think that's a healthy change, because it's like, imagine trying to eat. I'm assuming that's what you get, a glob of ectoplasm, and you like kind of munch it. Like, imagine eating during a fight and you're trying to do a dodge roll, and you're like, oh fuck, I dropped it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. No 5-second.
I mean, it's really healthy. It's healthy for sure, because every time you would hit steal on the Mesmer and you just glob, and you'd have the 1v1 outnumber whatever it was, you'd have it. Because Mesmer is, whenever it gets pressured in this meta at this time anyway, like Mirages and stuff like this, because they only have 1 dodge, right? If they get pressured, they can't get resustained, and that's a really healthy change, because a Thief is really, he's the main pressure doer, right? Because he can get to any spots at any time really fast. So this kind of saves the Mesmer in a big way, for sure.
Yeah, so just looking on, like, when we talk about the roles within, we've talked about this numerous times on the podcast, of the roles within the game. Like, for support, we can argue what is optimal and what is available, but there are choices in reality. Like, you've got the support warrior, like this new shout warrior that's going around. You've still got Tempest. Tempest is still viable, despite what people might think. It's still a good choice for even sort of low tier play, I'd say. But then you could argue still Firebrand in some scenarios. Obviously, in an organized high tier team, it's not viable, but among the low ranks, you can still make it work, because you can just outplay people. So there's sort of like some support roles. Team fighters, you've got like Reaper, Core Necro, you've got the Condi Rev. There are other choices. Bunkers, you've got Rangers, Side Notice there. But in the sort of Roma role, it's always Thief. Always. There is nothing where you would go, ooh, I might take that.
Well, the meta becomes more bunkerish, and then Thief kind of falls off a little
Yeah.
bit because you just can't kill it. When you outnumber, you just can't kill the outnumber, and that becomes a big problem.
It's not about that. I feel like the reason Thief has been in the meta for so long is because it hasn't really had anything to challenge it, and because the closest thing that does challenge it is Mesmer, specifically Mirage, and having access to Glob, like it already does the role better because the outnumber, the mobility of Thief and the stealth already makes it better at the role, arguably. Okay, and then having just for the one thing that may challenge you, just being like, oh, I do the role better than you, and I have literally a I win button on your skill bar of Glob that shits on your only competition, is not healthy. Like, if Mesmer is going to compete against a Thief, it needs to be able to either, like, it might not be able to do the mobility as good, but it should be able to go, I can perform the burst better, or if you know what I mean, there has to be either, do I want to have the mobility and the speed, or do I want to have the burst and the better damage? That's how I feel like it should go.
For sure, you can't have both. You can't be a jack of all trades. Right?
Yeah, unless you're an NG.
For sure, yeah. For sure. Spot on. But yeah, healthy changes for the game. I think this came out of the talk for sure when we were talking, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody definitely agreed.
Yeah, I think it's a universally appreciated decision. I don't know how Essence Sap, if they've done anything Essence Sap, that would be interesting to sort of get my hands on and see that, because that's another one which needs looked at, because yes, Revenant isn't, it's just a very strong ability, and I feel like it's a bit too good. Especially the slow duration and things like that. It's like, come on, man. A ranged ability that does, like, you can easily drop silly numbers, like damage numbers from range.
Yeah, but the sap was bugged so long. Like, it had 1 second. It wrote that it had 1 second of slow, and it had 3 seconds, or even more, right? It's 4 seconds.
Yeah, something like that. But I just feel like it's too strong. Some of the Thief abilities, and obviously I am a Thief main. You love Thief. We are a very much pro Thief podcast.
For sure.
It's just because it's fun, but for how dominant it is in its role and its category, some people don't like that it's in that category, but we can argue about that, of how we all think the game should be. It is in that category of Roma +1, and having literally nothing to challenge it is bad. But now, hopefully, I'm hoping we might see some more Mesmers in sort of at least the high end tiers and not just Helseth.
Oh yeah, for sure we will. This is a big change for Mesmer. Like, I just hope the meta doesn't become too bunkerish. Everyone hoping for that.
Yeah, bunkers. Well, that's one of the reasons ESL didn't survive, like all the top players, because for an esports or a competitive, if you want sort of a nice tournament scene, especially for the likes of sort of Teapot, who streams and casts, and Roy, who casts the monthlies, it needs to be entertaining to watch. And two people standing on a point for 15 minutes, not dying, is fucking boring. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. And it's boring to sort of play. It's boring to fight against. For my personal favorite sort of ones to watch is when, like, we've talked about this. This is something we love. Is the power Mesmer and the Thief, or even just the Mesmer Thief combo, running around with portals, just bursting people, or when we call it, what was it? It was the pain train.
Yeah, that's for sure the best combo in the game.
I want to see kills. I want to see people just like mowing down, like seeing a health bar go from 100 to 0 is more fun. It's so much fun, regardless, because it's like someone fucked up along it, like having 3 people go 3, 2, 1, boom, deleted. You're just like, fuck yes, like you could have just dodged, yeah, and negated the whole thing. But it's like getting that sweet time in and going, he's wasted both his dodges. Go, 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 go. Oh,
yep.
Man. And it brings me back. It sort of takes me back to the old Guild Wars 1 days of like the spike meta and its prime. And it was, so good. Everyone was super tanky and you'd be like, oh shit, but everyone would be super defensive and you'd have a lot of defensive. But then it was like the burst damage was insane. It wouldn't pressure you over time. It'd just be like, ready, 3, 2, 1. And health bars would just delete. it's if anyone gets a chance, go on YouTube somewhere like Rebel Rising versus KMD back in the old things, and you'll see the bursts of health bars just being deleted of coordinated spikes of 8 people. Oh, so good.
Yeah, power meta is for sure the best. Like,
well, it doesn't even have to be power. A Condi burst, as much as we don't like Condis, like me and you disagree, but if it's a combination of both, it's 3 people. My attitude, if it's like 2 or 3 people bursting down a target, all coordinating so everything goes at once, a health bar should be deleted. That's my attitude on it.
I mean, sure, you got the right attitude, but I hate Condis, man.
Yeah,
it's just it's a dumb thing. Like, they needs to be conditions. It's good. But there's a certain amount of conditions that one can have and survive, and then there's a certain amount that one can have and not just,
Yeah, my attitude on Condis is I like the ones which have an effect on something. For the likes of, I like as much people don't like immobilize. I like the sort of idea of mobilizing. You have to play around it. I like the idea of cripple. But then I like the idea of torment where it punishes you for moving, but it's like it punishes you for not moving as well, which is fucking stupid. But I like the idea of that, so it kind of goes, oh, that affects gameplay, like raw gameplay. I like that. But when it's just like, I can just stack everything on you for my auto attacking, and you're like, fuck off. Like, what?
I will say like that. Like, I'm remembering core days. It was really interesting. Like, some Angies were running this perplexity room build with a lot of confusion stacks, and confusion was a really big thing. If you could stack 12 stacks, you pretty much get a kill. Like, there's a lot of that around that, but like Condis would be way more impactful. Or like core Angie would run toolkit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you would pull wrench, so you would stack 3 Condis and 2. That's cripple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those Condis would make a big difference in a fight, and when the fight was, when the health bar was low enough, you would cast the grenade 5, the poison grenade, and it wouldn't be 9 stacks. I think it'd be 5, or even if it wouldn't be decisive, but it'd be really effective condition-wise. It was really nice to counterplay as well, and I just feel like throughout the evolution of Guild Wars 2 mechanics, that got lost somewhere along the way, and condition spam just became the thing. Confusion nobody even notices it until it's at like 12, 24 stacks, whatever it is nowadays.
Yeah, I personally, I would have liked them seem toned down a lot of the condition, because a lot of them just feel like exactly the same. If I'm like damage over time, you got poison bleeding, poison reduces 33% heal, and I reckon poison should just do that. Like, there you go. That's an effect. So it's like you've got to have they have an effect on the game rather than just be like, oh, they're all damage over time. Oh, cheers. Like, I'm just gonna stack all of them on someone. Then that's when you get in the burst thing. But to put it in perspective, in Guild Wars, I know I'm referring back to the olden days, the glory days. There wasn't actually that many which you could stack certain ones which did over time, but they all had different mechanics. Like, you had bleeding, which you only had because you had a health bar and it had -2 health regen, so you'd actually lose like 2 seconds, like a certain amount of health. But if you started stacking them all up, then it would have a big degeneration of health, so it wouldn't just be like chunk, 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 gone. It'd actually just deteriorate over time, because they'd all either have like -2, -5, or whatever, and burning would have like a load. But then you'd have access to sort of disease, where it's like, if you had disease on you, if I imagine like me and you you had disease up condition, you run into me, it gives it to me. I thought that was like a really cool mechanic. But then you've got stuff like Crackdown, which is just your vulnerability and things like that. But I like it when it has an impact on the game, and then I have to counter this, instead of just being like, oh, I'm going to cleanse 5 conditions, instead of being like, oh, I've got X on me. I like the ideas of conditions is better than the implementation in Guild Wars 2. That's my idea.
The pleb farmer build?
Yes, I'm aware.
Well, there's a lot of it now in game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it, and it's wiping out all the plebs very, very effectively. And like, that's the bad side of the coin, but the good side, there's a lot of warriors, breakers, right? Shoutbreakers, whatever. It's really cool to see, because the banner is reputable. It's actually a really nice decision maker if 2 bodies are down on each team or whatever.
Yeah, do you
It's
go?
really
Do
it's
you go
really
for the
nice.
Ritters or the?
An healer meta or something.
Yeah,
But then again, you like have these bunkerish, or like you have a lot of renegades still running around.
I think bunker it's never gonna go anywhere, unfortunately. But everyone prefers the high damage. Like we've talked about the high damage, but I think we're gonna try and get off topic. Not too much because we talk about the same thing every week. Otherwise, yeah, bunkers ain't going anywhere. So you're saying there's a lot of pleb farmers going around. For those who aren't aware, the pleb farmer is the dragon hunter trap burn with permanent wrath, and you basically jump on a point, throw on the sword of justice, throw on some symbols, do some traps, jump up and down, and everybody has like 15 stacks of burning, and then you laugh at the corpse.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great fun if people don't go, oh, I'm going to stand in this glowing animation or this big swinging sword, which in lower ranks, it's the pleb farmer.
Yeah. But it's so stupid, like, because every time I love focus damage, right? And every time I'm damaging like a guard, a burn guard especially now, every time they resustain, and their like immunity, their full health is only a veil, you know. It doesn't exist. They just have this weird like Aegis block and resustain thing. But as soon as you burn through that shit, they're dead meat. Like they drop immediately. Everybody stops cleaving when they should be cleaving the most, and just dies of burning. Doesn't kite the swords, the spinning shits, you know.
Yeah, it's the way a reliable thing I found is to counter it with like a necro just fucks guard. Like anything that corrupts just fucks it, and you've got to kind of out pressure the pressure because they put immediate pressure on you with the like with with the port, the symbols and everything like that. If you can supply like go off range, if you can sort of get out of that, right? Because they will jump in, they'll throw all their shit down, and then they'll try and run away. That's when you have to chase them. That's the key. Is putting on the counter pressure, like get out their shit, and then because once they've wasted those traps and utilities, they've got nothing to sort of. They might have like the Wings of Resolve jump. They might have a little couple of things, but most of the time they're gonna have very little. It's just keeping that pressure on, and then you can take them out and then snowball from there.
Thief is really effective against the wings. Like if you can rep that, you can get the kill.
Oh yeah, you can throw in the headshot and just wreck them. Yeah, because it actually removes like quite a few conditions as well. It removes 5 if you've got the build right.
Yeah.
But Mesmer.
I love Mesmer, man. I really want to see more portal plays and like fast-paced game, you know.
Yeah, so you know a little bit more about Mesmer. I've dabbled in the ways of the Mesmer. It'd be cool to watch some more Mesmer players on the podcast. Like we've done one with Faye.
For sure.
But I think because Portal's been iffy. We like Portal, but the common thing is to run the mantra of the interrupt one. I can't remember what it's called now. Distraction? Mantra of Destruction, is that? Yeah. I think if Mesmer gets what Helsif and Misha and a lot of the Mesmers are calling out for, of the sustain buff on the heal skill, which I think it definitely needs because it is bullshit. Like you can be out of a fight for like 20 seconds and and you're like, finally I've got my health back. I think that needs buffed, and then Thief will have a contender in that role.
Dude, Mesmer's always been in these weird spots. Like at first, you know, Helseth made a video back in the day saying like Mesmer isn't viable, I am. Which was true. Because nobody played Mesmer. And like nobody was good at Mesmer, only a couple of players. And you know, and then Heart of Thorns, the flip side, you know, Chrono was the shit, you know. I even tried it back then in a season. I got a legendary, no problem. Like something like 30 games altogether, or even more. But like it felt like nothing.
Crayola exposed, meta abuser.
I tried. It's so easy because I saw Hell's stream and I saw how he played it, and I was like, I can do that, you know. And especially when the whole thing was going on, you know, when it was cool because you wouldn't see Mesmers before that, but then you would see Mesmers all over because of the exposure. And then, you know, Mesmer since Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire with Mirage, it's been in weird spots, man. At first, nobody knew how to play it, so there weren't any builds. And then some weird builds came out, at the beginning of Path of Fire, and then Corona was a thing for some time, bunker shit, and then it dropped out, and then Conde Mirage was and it's been in all sorts of weird spots. So it's really cool. I really want to see more of these Portal power greatsword plays. This is what I think is really cool. Yeah. Power block, interrupt.
Oh, dude, it's so much fun seeing it. Like when you get hit by a power mesmer build, like by a burst, even if it's on the receiving end, you're like, fair one. I got caught with my pants down. That's how I see it, and it's just like they pulled off like something good. But the thing I'm quite happy with, like what I would want to discuss, which like Helsip and the likes of Misha and any other sort of players out there who still play mesmer. This is what we see in ranked, and as meta like shifts regularly, builds come out of fashion, some builds come back into fashion. The big top tier builds and the people who play those builds regularly and know how to play those builds. So I'm gonna call out Andreas here, and I remember him saying, I can't remember where I heard it, but I can definitely remember him saying it. You remember when Guard was at its peak with the Invincible Core Guard build, like before the symbol nerf. It's still good, but when it was at its most obnoxious, right? Yeah. He turned around and be like, yeah, if Guard wasn't a thing, I would be a nobody.
Yeah.
Right? He wouldn't be. Obviously, he's a fantastic player and he can play other things, but because he knows how to play that class at such a very, very good level, and he's played it for a long time. As his class comes into the meta and gets buffs over time, he can dominate on it. It's the same for Mesmer. If Mesmer gets a buff and people are still playing it and committing to that role and be like, I will beat my head against a brick wall until this comes back into, and you keep practicing it, then when it does, you're like, I got a head start on everybody else.
Oh, for sure. And there are many players that just stick to one thing. And it's really nice to see devs, if they actually implement changes, making those stuffs viable, good players can shine through that. That's really good. Dedicated play.
Definitely. But yeah, more mesmers. Get out there. I want to see everybody. Whenever I log in, I want a mesmer in my game. If I'm a thief, I want you to punish me now glob's been nerfed.
Be careful what you wish for, though, because I'm telling you, mesmer's been in weird spots where you don't want them in the fucking game.
But that's the same as everything. There's always one class which I don't want in the game. There's always one broken class which the forums are on fire with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want a I want a meta where it shifts regularly, which we've talked about. Yeah. ArenaNet looking at you. But yeah, regardless, welcome change. It is a welcome change anyway. But speaking of mesmers and things like that, and other videos, has there been any content, Crayola, that you've been watching?
Yeah, Jazz X Man put out a new video, Portal guide. Actually, ooh. I don't think there's been any other Portal guides done. Not that I've seen, but that's pretty cool.
I'll have to give that a watch after recording, because I've been so busy that I haven't even managed the time to log on at the moment. But yeah, so what is that? Just a kind of cool a guide on performing them, or is it good spots, like sneaky spots, or what is it? A combination of both?
A combination of a lot of shit. Jazz is really good at greatsword power mesmer, right?
Yeah.
Or mesmer in general, but and the Portal plays are really good. The explanation in the video, I think that's, as I said, I don't know if there's ever been a video done of Portals, but I think it's really good because a lot of people don't know how to play Portal. Even when it was a thing where every mesmer played it, you can do really interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's so strong if your team capitalize on it. That's the key. Me and you have done mesmer plays before for a bit of a laugh, and the ability to have two players instantly sort of join a fight. It's not even like a +1, it's a +2. It's disgusting. And that in an organized team scenario, if you've got a power mesmer who can just delete a target, oof.
Dude, one of the best games, TCG versus Rank 55. One of I think the last one was played of the World Tournament. House at Portal's Denshi out when he was in downstate, the alley, right? through the portal because you can mistform through a portal. They get a res, they win the game. Like, it was a really weird game because there was like a complete flash. But still, like, imagine what kind of impact those kind of plays have. You know, when where a team is so coordinated, if they play a class like Ellie, that the portal is dropped in such a distance, and Ellie is dropped in such a distance that they can get them through and res.
It's very much a make or break skill. That's how I describe it. A make or break skill. It's either it goes off, like it makes an insane play, or it has zero impact.
Yeah,
that's the thing with it. We are both big fans of it. Some players don't like it, but shit bust, it's in the game. I think it's cool. What up? Don't at me. You know? Or at me, I don't care. You can message me and tell me I'm wrong, but yeah. But yeah, so do you reckon there's going to be more greatsword mesmers, or do you reckon it's just going to be more Mirage?
No, I think people go for the brain dead.
The brain dead.
Yeah, just the brain dead. You know the golden ratio shit. You know where it's like 1.6 against like something smaller.
Not really.
Like okay, those smaller number, that's the ratio. You know, those small number are the players that want to play something interesting, and that big ratio is just the play whatever is
the strongest. And it's basically get playing whatever's strongest. That's the reality of what a meta is, and I don't blame people. I'm a scumbag. No. I've been playing Condi Thief, dude. So,
dude, you have skill levels to this. You know, like you can play something that's really strong and play it really ineffectively, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And I think like proportionally more players tend to go for brain dead builds over intelligent builds and actually playing really interestingly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be. I just hope like this is enough to bring some mesmers back, because they've been neglected, all our mesmer friends or enemies, depending on how you want to look at them. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
But any other content? Come on, give me an update. I haven't been in the game, Cruella. What else has been happening?
There's no content. Fuck you. The only content is the content we're making, and even that's on a low because everybody's leaving.
Wah, wah, wah.
But that's okay. We're still here. We're gonna be here. Guild Wars 2 doesn't just die because it's the best PvP ever, hands down, and it has a beautiful legacy with Guild Wars 1 and everything. You know.
Yeah, definitely. But so it's probably a pretty short episode. We've covered just wanted to update people on maybe the things that they don't know about. Because I wasn't even aware until you told me. I was like, what? There's not even any patch notes. Booting off and shouting at things as usual. But I think a cool thing, so we can try and get the community involved, is if sort of any content creators out there have put out anything sort of a cool PvP related video, or if any sort of viewers out there have go, hey, this guy who I'm subscribed to, one of my friends has made a cool video, let us know about it, and we'll give you a wee shout out on the podcast. More PvP content, we'll get your content.
Exactly, for sure. Everybody's welcome to join this, yeah, because we're making this. We usually have guests on to give them platform just to have a talk, but I think it's good the community interacting, and this is the medium to do it through.
But yeah, so those who have listened to this very short podcast today, we haven't managed to go on a tangent today and rant, but so I think we've done really well, Krill. So pat on our backs.
Yeah, okay.
For those who've listened now, obviously we've got our in-house leagues every Sunday. Krill, you do that. Tell them.
Yeah, in-house leagues, join up. We do in-house games, everything from duels to 5v5s. We're trying to implement stuff like getting balanced games, So we have a comp strategy guide going. But right now we just have kind of a pool of players, about 20, 25, 30 players to join every Sunday. Right now the stream is on a low, but we do have Roy casting tonight, which was yesterday. Which check it out. For sure it's going to be on YouTube and everywhere. And join the Discord. But you can contact us and links in the description for everything. Our game names, we have no idea what they are, but you should do in-house leagues. You can check out everything. The links are everywhere. Join the Discord. Voice chats are mandatory in the games. And yeah, we'll see you there.
Yeah, it's all about the GG. That's how you put it, Cruella. All about the GG.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So for those who stuck around, thank you very much for listening, and stay competitive. We will see you in the arena.